On today's episode of Pathmonk Presents, I've got a very special guest with me joining today. Please welcome Peter, who is the Senior Marketing Manager at Packback. Peter, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you on our show. I'm super excited to learn more about who you are as a leader, how far you've come in your profession, and ultimately all the great things that you and your team are doing at Packback. So thanks again for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Mariah. I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to kind of share a little bit of Packback's story and my story as well, and kind of get our messaging out there. Should be a fun conversation.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a great conversation. So for all of our listeners out there, give us an insight. What is Packback and what is the solution that you have provided for your clients overall?
Yeah, absolutely. So at our core, Packback, we are an ed tech company. We are an AI-aided writing tutor for every student and an AI grading assistant for every teacher. So we really value teaching students how to do things instead of doing things for them. So our pedagogy is derived from Bloom's taxonomy, and we encourage students to find their intrinsic motivation that they need to critically think and develop their own unique voice through the assistance and use of AI. So the AI model that we follow, we call it instructional AI, and we're actually space leaders in instructional AI, which is a lot more, which is very different from generative AI, which is your chat GPTs, your Claudes, your Google Bards, and so on and so forth. Whereas that generative AI uses an AI bot to generate answers and generate content for the user. Our AI guides students throughout the writing and thought process. We provide real-time feedback along the way to help them develop and enhance their writing and thinking skills, and so that they can correct themselves along the way and kind of learn the proper fundamentals to writing and developing their own voice and leveraging their own unique voice. One way we like to put it is we teach students how to fish as opposed to providing them a fish.
Yeah, definitely. No, thanks for giving us an insight. And I know
Yeah.
our conversation before we started, I was saying I wish I had this tool before I started university. And I think it's really great that this is really helping students now in terms of, with their university studies, especially when it comes to writing their theses or whatever it may be. It's a great tool to have on hand now, honestly.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Our students, the students that are in Packback classes, absolutely love it. We get feedback from them all the time on just how much it's improved their writing skills, how much it's improved their engagement in the class, and not only the students but the teachers love it too. Like I said, it makes their jobs easier. It helps. One of our discussion platform, our flagship product called Packback Questions, which is a AI-aided discussion platform, is used to increase engagement in classrooms. So the teacher will have their lecture or course material. They'll go over it in class, and then they'll assign students an assignment on Packback Questions, where they'll either have to answer a question or pose a question themselves, and our AI will grade that question based on their thought process and their critical thinking, and the support they're providing for the claim they're making, any research they're citing. It'll kind of help them show them how to develop an argument. And it helps teachers as well because it helps them with grading. The AI grades for grammar, grades for mechanics. So teachers are really able to kind of put down that red pen and focus more on what they do best, and that's being the content experts, because that's what they are at the end of the day. So we've had teachers that say that they've been able to reduce their grading time by up to 30% by using both of our products, Packback Questions and Packback Deep Dives.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's incredible. So now in terms of your clients, because I feel that this is more, we're talking like education, university students, and even professors. How do your clients typically find you then? Would you say a lot of it's mainly referrals? Is it word of mouth, digital marketing? Is it inbound? Can you give us an insight onto this?
Yeah, of course. So it's an amalgamation of a bunch of things. We do all sorts of marketing. So we host monthly webinars, which is where a lot of clients find out about us. We have a very expansive social media presence. We post on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. We try to post at least once a day. We're developing a TikTok to try and go after some of the Gen Z and college students. So that's a work in progress. And we also pursue strategic partnerships. So we recently partnered with Avid, which is a nonprofit organization that provides opportunities to students who normally wouldn't have ample opportunity to kind of develop and expand upon their education and helps prepare them for life after high school, helps prepare them for their collegiate success and post-collegiate success. We've also recently partnered with the League for Innovation in the Community College. Again, and that's trying to just bring education up to where technology is and find that happy balance between education and technology. So that's kind of what we go after in some of our strategic partnerships, as well as we do your traditional email marketing. We leverage SEO on our website. We don't do any paid ads right now, but that's something that we're going to pursue in the future as we launch our B2C product. But right now, I would say that's the bulk of how our audience typically finds out about us. It's worked quite well for us so far.
Awesome. Thanks for giving me an insight. And it's great to see that this strategy has been helping you guys with building more leads and ultimately getting more clients, and it's working overall. So that's great to hear. So now I want to switch gears here. I want to talk about you as a leader. So with being the senior marketing manager and with your extensive background, what are the things that you focus on your day-to-day? What are your key tasks, essentially?
Yeah, so right now I'm the only full-time marketing person at Packback, so I kind of have my hand in everything, which is what I like. I like to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, if you will. So my day-to-day, it really depends on the day. There might be a day where I'm writing a 1,000-word blog on generative AI and its impact on education, or how using instructional AI can further education and make a greater impact on students. There might be a day where I'm spending hours using HubSpot to create various automation segments for our various audience segments and ensuring that they're getting the proper content, creating various emails to be automated within those segments. Working on our social media, creating designs for social media, creating our posts and content and copy for social media, setting up the various webinars we have and making sure that we're inviting the right people and making sure that we're providing them with the requisite follow-up that they need, with all sorts of material that they need. If they miss the webinar live, that they're getting a recording, the guide that goes with it, the slides. So it's really, I have my hand in a bunch of things, which is really kind of what I like to do. And I kind of have the freedom to I'm somewhat of I like to have fun with my work, and I have the freedom to do that here, which is really what I love about Packback. It's what I love about my job, is I get to do a little bit of everything. I get to have fun with it. And I'm not only am I allowed to have fun with it, I'm encouraged to have fun with it. So it's a really special kind of place to be.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like a very great place overall, and that's amazing. So with being the only marketing personnel that manages everything and you have your hand in so many different aspects, how do you stay up to date within the industry without feeling so overwhelmed? What works for you? And ultimately, where do you go to learn and grow without feeling so overwhelmed?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good question. There's so much information out there, and marketing is something that changes day to day. It's very hard to stay ahead of the curve in marketing, because it's such a subjective field. It's not like I'm going into a spreadsheet every day, plugging in formulas and generating numbers. Marketing is so subjective. It changes based on your audience, based on your audience's influences, based on their demographic, based on what they're looking for. So it is hard to keep up with it. I would say some of the things I do is I'm kind of a nerd with it. Like when I see advertisements on whether it be social media or TV commercials or banner ads, I'm like, oh, I kind of see what they did there. I kind of like that messaging. I liked how they snuck that CTA in there. So I look at what other companies are doing. We all consume so many ads and so much marketing every single day. So I kind of try to pay attention to that, as well as the Morning Brew has a marketing newsletter that they send out daily around lunchtime.
I love the Morning Brew.
Yes.
It's great. Yeah.
Yes, the Morning Brew is great. It's how I stay up to date on all my world news and US news. But they have a specific marketing newsletter they send out daily. So I subscribe to that. I read that usually over my lunch. As well as HubSpot has a lot of blog resources that help you kind of stay up to date. And I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I've become very interested in trying to bolster my skills in SEO. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos on kind of SEO courses and how to leverage it and how to do the proper keyword research. So I would say that's kind of mostly how I try to stay up to date. I'll tell you right now, I'm not perfect at it, and I don't think anybody is. I think it's really hard, but I do my best with that.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's really great, especially where many people underestimate that you can get so much and learn so much from YouTube. Like,
Mhm.
like there are so many free videos, free courses that offer so much. So for anyone who always says, I don't know where to start, it's like I love how you said YouTube. Absolutely.
Yes,
That's how I've always been. If there's something I need to learn, whether it's like Excel, the Adobe Creative Suite, HubSpot, go to YouTube. The answer? Go to
absolutely. Absolutely.
YouTube.
YouTube has everything. I mean, you could go to college on YouTube right now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes. All right. So now we're getting close to the end of our interview, and I'm gonna ask you some rapid fire questions. Are you
Okay.
ready?
Yes.
Awesome. So, what is the last book that you read?
The last book I read was The Game of Thrones, which is the first in the Game of Thrones series. So I recently read that book. And prior to that, I read a book called The Little Blue Book That Beats the Market. So it was an investing book. I had a background in finance. And so I was just kind of interested in how finance worked. I didn't know too much about it and how investing works. So that's kind of why I decided to read that book. But the most recent was Game of Thrones. And I will say it was a little bit better than so it goes along with the first season of the TV show. And I will say the book was a little bit better. I never thought I'd be one of those people, but here we are. We all change, right?
Yeah, I hear you. We all change, but I will say, any movie that's based off of a book, the books are always better. They're just
Yeah.
always better. They are.
Yeah.
All right. Now, my next question. Let's say that there were no boundaries in technology and you could do whatever you wanted. What
Mhm.
would be the one thing that you would want to have fixed within your role today?
Yeah, I would say one thing that I'd want to have fixed in my role today is for automation to just kind of happen with a snap of a finger. So we have so many different segments that we target and so many different fields that we use to create branching logic in HubSpot to create automation. And it's not hard by any means, but it's more of a tedious task where you have to really kind of pay attention to what you're doing. Then you have to go through and test it to make sure it's working properly. You have to test every single branch. So I would say if there's one thing that I could fix in my role, it would just to be making that a lot easier and a lot less time consuming.
No, definitely that I agree with you. Now, my next question is, what is the one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you could go back and restart your journey today as a marketer?
I would say the one piece of advice I would give myself is to take a greater interest in the data and the numbers. So the bulk of my experience prior to Packback was mostly on the content side of marketing things, a lot of blog writing, a lot of message creating, and we measured numbers. But the person I reported to, kind of took care of that, and I would collect the numbers, but I didn't really know what they meant. So I would say that's one thing that if I could go back in time, tell myself is like really learn how to analyze and use these numbers, and as well as really, really learn how to leverage SEO yourself, how to do the proper keyword, how to do keyword research, how to learn how to increase domain authority, learn how to secure uh, relevant and credible backlinks. So that's something that I'm really trying to bring myself up to speed now. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been doing a lot of YouTube courses on that. But I really wish that that's something that I had taken a greater interest in the past because I think that's so important right now. Especially with there being so much information out there and everybody going to Google for everything, you really, really need to find a way to make sure that you are showing up at the top of Google and that your information stands out. So I think that for any marketer out there, any young person out there, I would say that that's a great place to start, and that is so valuable to so many organizations because there's not a lot of people that know out there that know how to do it. They know what SEO is, they know Google is, but they don't know how to execute it. They don't know really how to take advantage of it. So I would say that that's absolutely one thing that I would love to go back in time and make sure I was a master at.
Definitely. But thanks for sharing that with us. And I think it's really great where you're emphasizing on taking an interest in the data and the numbers really earlier, especially within
Mhm.
marketing. It, it's one thing that that you need to master like really, really early as well. So I totally
Yes.
agree with you 100%.
Yes.
So exactly. So now we're at the end of our interview today. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, the but I also want to give you the last word. If anyone were to forget about everything that we've talked about today in this interview, what is the one thing you want them to remember about Packback overall?
Oh man, that's a good question. If you forgot everything about this interview and you needed to learn one thing about, or you wanted to remember one thing about Packback, I would say that Packback is providing ample opportunity to learn and to grow and to find your unique voice to students across the country, regardless of background, regardless of demographic, regardless of means or family. We really are focused on making sure that every student across the country has access to equal learning opportunities and equal opportunities to grow within themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Especially with what you guys are providing in the market. It's really incredible.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much again. I learned so much from you today, and I really loved our conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mariah. This was so much fun. I'll be honest, this is my first time being on a podcast, but I could kind of get used to this.
It's great. I'm really glad to hear that you enjoyed it. And again, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And for all of our listeners out there, check us out next week on Pathmonk Presents.